Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my channel. This is the tutorial video on how to make this Easter egg hunt album. You could use this tutorial to make any themed album that you want. This particular one, I made it with the Photoplay's Bunnies and Blooms Spring and Easter paper collection from Country Craft Creations. So stay tuned for the tutorial. I will have a separate walkthrough showcase video to show you the inside of the album. For this project, I will be using Photoplay's Bunnies and Blooms to make an Easter album. I picked up one sheet of the 12 by 12 sticker sheet and then 3 sheets of each pattern. So you see those here. We'll be using a lot of that, not necessarily all, but as you know, to make the main part of the album. I've also added in 3 sheets of my colors from Country Craft Creations called Willow Green for some photo mats. And I will be using the natural or ivory colored cardstock, artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, along with 12 by 12 chipboard, heavyweight chipboard. I believe I will need 2 sheets of this. This I will keep track of how much I use. I'll add that up there in a text box to let you know how many sheets I did end up using. Also going to need your art glitter glue and a sheet of score tape sheet, the 8.5 by 11. This here is a smaller piece, but I will be cutting out of a bigger piece for my project. So anyway, that's the supplies. So let's get going on the album cover. To make our album cover, I'm going to give you the measurements in the text box up above. You'll see that right across the screen. Also, I'm going to provide a link in the corner to my tutorial video on how to assemble an album cover, because I'm not going to do it here in this video. I always assemble it the same, but I have different sizes of chipboard and cardstock. So copy down what I have up here for your cover. The heavyweight chipboard is what you need. I cut these to 8 by 8, 2 of them, and one that's 3 by 8 for my spine. I'm going to wrap it with the ivory cardstock, so I cut 2 that are 10 by 10, and then one that is 6 by 10. And then for the inside cover, you're going to need one sheet that is 8 by 8, just slightly under the 8 by 8, and also an adhesive sheet to go with that. So I'm going to get my cover assembled, and then I'll come back here, and then we'll start working on the pages. Okay, so I have my album cover done. I'm going to go over it with you real quick, what I did with the pattern paper. But this is the lay flat method that I showed you in the separate video. On the inside here, I did go ahead and put down solid cardstock. I do not show you that in the album cover video. I did it because I wanted to finish this off and decide what I'm going to do for these inside covers. That's optional. If you decide to do it, you will cut it to just under 8 inches tall by just under 8 inches wide. And I did put mine down with score tape sheets to keep it nice and smooth all the way across, and put it over that extension here in the seam section. So that's all finished in there, but again, that's optional. It does take 2 more sheets of cardstock. I am not going to include that in the supply list, but if that's something you want to do, you can. Then I went ahead and laid the cover flat and matted and added my pattern paper. So I'm using the Willow Green, my colors cardstock, which I cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than the height and the width of my cover. So the cardstock is 7 7/8 wide by 7 7/8 tall, 2 of those. And here on the inside of my colors is the 3 inches here, because when you open it up, I want it to go a little further over in the side. So it's 3 inches wide by 7 7/8 tall. Then I made the pattern paper 1/4 of an inch shorter height and width than the green. So this ended up being, let me turn the ruler the right way, This ended up being a 7 5/8 by 7 5/8. This one is 2 3/4 in the width by the 7 5/8 high, and went ahead and matted that down. Now I'm not going to do any decorating at this time. I'm going to assemble the pages and flaps and get the hinge and everything in for that. I will say, if you're wanting a ribbon closure and you want it under your mats, you would do that before you add your cardstock, mat, and your patterned paper. I, however, am going to do something where I have it probably on the outside. So I decided not to put it under at this time. Also, this keeps it from being in my way as I create the album. So that's just some tips or some suggestions, options that you can choose depending on what you want to do. If you want to wait on this adding pattern paper, you can. If you don't want to do the inside right now, solid cardstock, you can save, be a little conservative and save that if you don't want that. So next we're going to work on our inside spine and our hinge. I am not going to be inking my papers because I don't like to ink when I'm using a lighter cardstock color. So this piece here I have cut out of pattern paper 2 7/8 by 7 7/8 to go right here inside this section of the spine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down, and then I will show you how to make the hinge, and we'll go ahead and put that in as well. So put the glue, on the back of your pattern paper. I'm going to use the yellow side again on my spine. And because I had cut my other papers smaller with the mats, which I could have double matted this if I wanted to, but I didn't. I did have to cut into a new sheet of pattern paper here to get this. So you'll have to look at yours and see what you have, just making sure it doesn't go over where your fold is. So just make sure it sits inside of it like that. So burnish that down and go ahead and let that sit down. And I've got a little glue right here I want to rub off. There we go. These erasers are great for that, especially if you get a little of your adhesive over the side. Okay, so we have that. So we set that aside. Let's get our scoreboard. Cut one piece of cardstock that is hinge 6 by 7 3/8, and we're going to put the 6-inch at the top, which I've already done mine, and put it in at the top like this. And I'm going to score every 3/4 of an inch. So you score it 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, 3, 3 3/4, 4 1/2, and 5 1/4. That's where your score lines are going to be for your hinge. Next, I'm going to take and I'm going to fold each one of these on the ends backwards and burnish just like that. And I'm going to glue those two together. The one on each end to the next section. So you put glue on the first one here at the bottom, fold it onto the next 3/4 inch and burnish. Turn this around, do the same thing. Okay, so now we have it like that. We have the two side ones there. So right here in the middle, with these here that you just glued down like that, fold this in half and burnish. Once you have that center fold there, you're going to put glue on one 3/4 inch section next to that fold. Then fold in half and burnish. That's creating the center hinge. So burnish that really well. Then the line, score line next to that, just fold it backwards and burnish. Flip this over. The line next to the center one, burnish. So that when you fold this up, you have 3 hinges like this, 2 valleys. 3/4 inch in between. Now we're going to put this into our book. I just see I need to burnish this really well to make sure that glue sticks down right there on all of those. So we got 3 hinges for our 3 base pages. So take your book, and we're just going to look at it. Now this is cut at 7 3/8 to accommodate a 7.5 inch page, and we're going to have equal amounts here at the top and the bottom. So it's going to be about 1/4 inch. Here on the sides, we're going to look at it. I'm going to fold these in so I can see good. And we should have, of the pattern paper, about 5/8. Slip there. So 5/8 there. Let me hold it down really tight. And about 5/8 there on this other side, which with this other space gives you as much space in between. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to turn this and place my ruler down. I'm going to put this one at the 5/8 mark on the pattern paper. I'm going to look at it again. And then I'm going to set it at about 1/4 inch from the bottom. So I'm going to leave that right there. 5/8. Take my hinge, and on these 2 sections back here, I'm going to put glue all along these really well. I'm just spreading out the glue here. Spread it out. I'm not squeezing out anymore. I'm just spreading the glue now. Make sure I have it along the line. Okay, and I'm double check this, make sure nothing's moved. Hold the ruler, and at about 1/4 inch, drop that down. It's from the bottom and the top lined up. So it should be nice and straight. Don't move anybody. Go in here and burnish so that it can dry in there like that. So there's our hinges. Go ahead and really burnish that with your bone folder. Even if you press out some glue, just wipe that off. That just means you're really getting it pressed down good. There, got glue coming out. That's fine. Okay. Okay, so then I burnish these back and forth. Make sure they're turning good. Okay, so there's the hinge in there. So we got that. So now let's make some base pages. We're going to make 3 of those. For your base pages, you need to cut 3 out of cardstock that are 7.5 by 7.5. And then you need 3 that are 7.5 by 8.5. And these we're going to score. So put your 8.5 in at the top. And you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 8 on all 3. Half inch and 8. Again, the last one, put the 8.5 at the top, score at 1/2 inch and 8. So you have all 3 done the same. Okay, so let's do some folding and burnishing on all the score lines here. Okay, so now we have that done. We're going to assemble the page, and that's just simply taking one of your 7.5 by 7.5s and gluing it down. This is going to make a page with the opening to put it on the hinge and an opening for any kind of pocket that you want to make. Like if you want to insert some photo mats, large photo mats, you can do that. So make sure these are burnished really good. And I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to put some glue here on this hinge like this, folded down. Take one of your 7.5 by 7.5 pieces, line it up, the edge of it right along that fold line. Make sure it's lined up top and bottom here. There we go. And burnish just like that. And then this side should be easily attached by adding your glue to the 1/2 inch and attaching it down. Make sure it lines up and is even on the edge, and burnish. Okay, so that is a base page just like that. It's off just a smidge right there. I'm going to move it real quick before it dries. So double check it from the back side. Make sure it is still lined up. Okay, so that's how you do a base page. We have your sleeves open. I'm going to go ahead and do these other two off camera, and I'll be right back. Once you have your base pages assembled, you're ready to put them in on the hinge. And we're going to just take them and see. I did make the hinge a little bit smaller so that we don't have to do any trimming. I'm just checking to see if it fits on really good, and it does. So we're going to put our glue on both sides of this 3/4 inch hinge. Stay away from the fold about, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch. So I'm trying to do a line here straight as I can, not the straightest in the world. And then your glue on the upper portion. On both sides without getting it glued down in to the gusset part of your hinge. So put the glue on both sides. Take your page, open it up. We've already checked it to see that it fits. Gonna line it up. Press it down, and I'm going to keep it off that fold just about 1/16 of an inch. Don't want it right up against it. So make sure, now what I'm doing now is I'm going to look and see if my page is even all the way across, both top and bottom, and adjust it. Even if it causes one side to be off just a little bit here, that's okay. I want it to be straight with the cover. See right here and right up there. So we've got that. Burnish it really well. Flip it back and forth. Okay, and now we're ready to test the second one. And you notice that I'm going from the back. I've always done that. So that one fits good. I'm going to go ahead and do my glue. I prefer glue over score tape on my hinges because I have had albums where the pages come off the hinge if I strictly use just score tape. I don't know if it's my area, the humidity level, or it dries out, or what the deal is, but I find it better to use the art glitter glue. So we put this one on, and again we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to push it all the way down. We're going to keep it up a little bit. We're going to lay it down and see that it lines up with the first one, and then we can burnish it. There and right there. Okay, looks good. And now one more. Let's check it. Fits great. Time for the glue. And again, same thing. Keep it off from the bottom of the hinge or from the spine. We want to keep it about a 1/16 of an inch or so. Line it up with the other 2 pages and you'll know where you need to put it. Oops, right there. Okay. And burnish. Looks good. Back and forth. So we have wide gussets in here, so our flaps and things will have plenty of room. And our pages are laying down nice and fairly flat. As flat as we probably can get hinged pages in a book. Okay, so now we're ready to start working on the flaps and photomat flaps that I'm going to do. We're going to do them all the same throughout the whole book. Just your configuration of where you put them is going to be different. So let me get all that ready and we'll be back. Now we're going to go ahead and cut our cardstock, which I've already done, into the sizes that we need for flaps and photo fold outs. For this album, I'm not going to do a waterfall because that tends to be done with nearly every album. And maybe you want something a little different. Maybe you don't have that many photos and you just want some fold outs for some extra photos. So I think you'll like this design. If you want to add waterfalls to any of the pages, you certainly can. There's plenty of tutorials out there, even on my channel, on how to do a waterfall. This album does take a lot of cardstock, so I'm already counted up to, I think, 26, 27 sheets after I cut all these out. So, including the base pages, of course, and the wrapping of the cover. So, for the flaps that you're going to need, we're going to cut 7 that are 6.5 by 7.5. And I'm giving you all the measurements there at the top. 6.5 by 7.5. Then you're going to need a photo mats. You need 7, same size, that are 4.25 by 6.25. This is why it's taking more paper, because I'm trying to make it where it will accommodate a 4 by 6 photos without any cropping. And then the double fold out mat that goes with the single fold out photo mat, you need 7 that are 9 by 6.25. So we're going to have a set of these on the inside cover and front and back, so that's 2, and then you're going to have a set of these on the front of nearly all of the pages, except for some. We're going to do some different elements on a couple of them. So from scrap, I was able to cut, after cutting all these others, I was able to cut a double, what I call a double photo mat. You need one that is 4.25 by 6.25 here, and one that is 4.75 by 7.25. I will give you the scoring as we do that. And then you need another one that you should be able to cut from scraps. You need one that is 4.25 by 5.75 and one that is 9 by 5.75. Okay, set that aside. And then these were also cut out of scraps. Or this one was, it's a pocket. You need one that is 9 by 5.5. And then we need an extra photo mat that is going to be 8.5 by 6.25. I think I had to cut that out of another sheet of paper. So anyway, that's what we've got so far. We're going to score these, get them ready for our book. So let me grab my scoreboard. First thing we're going to do is take our flaps, our 7 flaps, and add them to our cover, inside, front, and back cover, and to the pages that these go on. So this is your piece that you cut to 6.5 by 7.5. You scored your 6.5 by 1/2 inch. So now you have a flap that is 6 inches by 7.5. Okay. So here on the album, we opened it up. No pattern paper yet. We're going to put our flap down. And this one I'm going to put here on the inside front cover right along the edge here, about 1/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom space. So I'm just using glue to put this one on. And that 1/2 inch that's folded over like that. Put the hinge, the fold, to the outer part of your album cover, right along that paper that I added on there, that inside cover, about 1/4 at the top and 1/4 at the bottom, pretty much. And just burnish that on. Super easy. So we have a flap like that. And we're going to drop that back. And then we're ready to do the one on the inside album cover. Okay, same size flap that we just used. Fold and burnish that score line. This one on the inside back cover, I'm going to put on the bottom edge, like this. So the fold's going to go down here on the bottom. You can switch it up however you want. I'm going to have it so that it drops down from the bottom. So put your glue on your flap. And all of these are put on before we add any patterned paper, so we can cover our hinge. So again, this one's about 1/4 of an inch from the right and from the center here. And just burnish that down on the bottom. Put the fold towards the bottom. And burnish that. So there's that flap. So now we're going to put flaps as needed on each page. So I'll go over that with you. We're continuing on with the same size flap where we have a 1/2 inch here. This one is going to attach to the right edge of the page, first page. So let me grab something that we can kind of distinguish our page colors from, like that. So this is page 1. The front of page, this page here is page 1, the very first one. Put your glue on that 1/2 inch. And then we're going to line this one up about 1/4 inch from the top, 1/4 inch from the bottom. And you put that hinge. Oh, no, actually, sorry. These are going to fit exactly because these are 7.5 this direction. So sorry about that. Forgot that. You put the fold right against the edge and line up the top and the bottom of this with this page because they are the same. If you want the 1/4 inch difference, you're going to have to trim it. I'm going to leave mine fold like that. So that's what I have on page 1. So page 1 has it opening to the right. Fold your page over. Back side is page 2. And this one, you take the same size hinge flap again. Fold and burnish our hinge. On this one, I want it to be a top one, so it's going to fit the fold right at the top, and again, it is the exact size of the page, so you want to make sure that you're getting that on at the top, even side to side. So put your glue on. And if you have to turn this to make sure you're getting it on right, go ahead and do that. It's going on at the top. So even with the edge right there. And we burnish that, lift it up and burnish. So that's page 2, which is on the back side. Remember, we only have 3 page sets, so this is on the back side of page set 1. So you have page 1 and page 2 flaps already done. For page 3, which is the front of page set 2, I'm going to put it on the right. Yeah, put it on the right. So put your glue on the 1/2 inch. Line it up, top and bottom, right along the edge of the page. Make sure it's even on each side. Open that up. Make sure it's even here. And open it up and burnish. There's your flap on the front side there. Okay, so page 4, which is the back of page set 2, I need to make a correction on this pocket. I don't know what I was thinking. I totally wrote it down wrong. Anyway, instead of 9 by 5.5, you're going to change that to 8.5 by 5.5. Otherwise, it won't fit on the page. So I'll correct that in the original text that I give you. But anyway, we scored it at, recut it to 8.5 by 5.5, score at 1/2 inch and 8, and turn and score at 1/2 inch. So this is going to make a pocket, which of course on pockets you're going to miter cut where the intersection is here on the corner. Okay. Let me move this sticky. If you want to punch your edge or put a thumb notch or anything, you can. I'm just going to leave mine plain for right now. I'm not going to punch anything on there. I don't do much decorative punching, but I do like to sometimes put a thumb notch or something. Anyway, turn that up a little bit so that it doesn't overlap. And this is going to glue right here on the bottom. So this is a pocket here. And I'm going to go ahead and take my glue and put glue along the bottom edge of the flap with it folded down, and then this side and the other, and then we're going to attach it down to the bottom of the page. So I'm going to put my outer fold on the cut edge of the page so that if there's any extra space, it will give me a little bit here, right here, away from the fold. So make sure it's lined up on the bottom, and burnish all 3 sides really well on the pocket. Make sure it sticks down. So there's the pocket. And then inside the pocket, we take, you want one of the pieces that is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then one of the fold outs, the double fold outs. We're going to make a booklet out of it that is 9 by 6 1/4, and these were scored at on the 9-inch side at 1/2 and 4 3/4. So that folds in there. So just double check, make sure once this side is burnished right here, that it's inside of that 1/2 inch. So you may want to just take this and trim just a hair off, and I think that I will here with my trimmer. Just back it off a tiniest bit, like a 1/16 of an inch, so that when it folds in, it's not going to be hindered by the fold here. And then we're going to take this piece here and glue that to the 1/2 inch. So it's going to make a trifold booklet. So I'll put glue right here. And then I'm going to just attach it onto the single mat. Line everything up the best you can here and burnish that down. So what that does, make sure it's burnished, is when you open it up, you have a booklet, okay? And then that will tuck inside that pocket just like that. So now we're ready for page 5. Okay, with page 5, we take one of these bigger flaps, which is your 6.5 that's been scored at a 1/2 inch by 7.5. That makes us have a 6 by 7.5 inch flap. This one's going to go on the right of page 5. So put your glue on. Line it up right here on the edge. Make sure it's lined up along the top and the bottom. Burnish that. And open it up and give it a burnish on the inside. So that's the flap on that one. And now we're ready for page 6. So we can move this out of the way. So next we'll do page 6, and then we'll be ready to add probably some patterned paper. Okay, so page 6, the flap, which is the big one again, 6.5 by 7.5, scored 6.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. So this is 6 by 7.5. Is going to attach right here on the left side of the last page. So glue on the flap. Attach that down. Make sure we're lining up. So the reason we put all these on before the pattern paper is because once you have it on, then you're going to be covering up your flap seam with your patterned paper. So there's the flaps. So we have the inside cover flaps in each page. Like that. So we have this one going this way. This one goes this way. Up, out. And you can do them any way you want. Large pocket, out, and that way. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut some pattern papers. I'm going to be cutting mine 1/8 of an inch shorter in width and height. You can do yours however you want to. We still have these elements that we're going to be adding in to the book. Let's see, this is page 3, photo mat. Yeah, and we have the extra things that we've made cut, so we'll be adding those in as we go. So pick out your papers. You don't necessarily have to glue them in because we'll be doing magnets and things, but I'm going to pick out my papers off camera, cut them down to fit the different sections, including the flaps. Some of these you may want to leave plain for photos, which are great. You don't have to add any pattern paper for that if you don't want to. So let me get all mine planned and cut, and then I'll be back to show you what to put in to yours. I have been cutting my pattern papers, measuring, cutting for different areas. I'm just barely squeaking by with enough big pieces to cover these sections in this album. So I ordered 3 sheets of each of the prints, and I'm just barely going to have enough. I know I have a full sheet of the cut aparts that I set aside specifically for this, and I have a few bigger sheets. Well, actually, I have 2 of these. Sorry, I do have 2 of these left, so I could use this if I need to in something once I get into this. And I kind of have them paper clipped together where they want to go. Now we're going to have to plan our magnets, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about this. Like, we went through and put all our big flaps on without any patterned paper. And then these guys here, those other pieces that we did, this is what I'm calling a photo booklet, a fold out. So to make each one, you have already cut, we cut 7 of them. And actually, I think we cut 8 because then I think I went back in and cut another one on the cutting list. So you have one that is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, which would work for a 4 by 6 photo without any trimming down, okay? And then you have the fold out, which was your 9, pretty sure it's 9. Put it on here, it's easier. Yeah, your 9 by 6 1/4. And then we scored the 9-inch side at a 1/2 inch. That's your attachment. And then at what, 4 3/4? Did we not? Yeah, we do it from the edge here. Yeah, 4 3/4. Then this folds in half to make your 4 1/4 inch flaps here. Now that if you feel like you're not going to be able to fold that up really good, you can trim just a tiny bit off of this. I don't know if I will on all of mine or not. So anyway, to make these, you can opt to take your flap, half-inch flap, and glue this one on. And then you're just going to have to look at where you're going to put it in your book. So I'm thinking I'm going to be putting all of mine on the front of a big flap. So you decide if you want it horizontal or vertical, maybe based on your own pictures. So like this one, if it's attached, and I think attaching it to the front of this piece here is easier than folding it over. So if we attach it like that, and then I will glue down that one piece down, and then this becomes a fold out for your photos, okay? I'm just planning to put pattern, and that's the reason why you would want this on the back if you're just using pattern paper on the front. So I didn't think about that. That's right. Because you don't want that. You don't want it like that where you can see it when you put your photo on there. You want it solid. So we do that. Then the pattern paper goes on the front. And all of my pattern papers, now this one I planned it going this way. So I'm going to have to finagle with that and decide because I got my writing going that way. But you know what? It's okay if it's sideways because I do like that this way. And I'm just trying to decide how I want to put it on there. So if you're attaching it down, see, you could put it underneath your big flap, but it's going to make your bulkiness here like that. But if you're putting a magnet on, that's no problem. So I think that's what I was planning on that one, was putting it underneath like that. Okay. Now this one I didn't cut any pattern paper. Where I'm covering it solid with pattern paper, I cut it 1/8 of an inch shorter in the width and 1/8 of an inch shorter in the height. And I'm not going to be I am not going to, let me do English correctly here. I am not going to give you the measurements for all of these because yours will vary depending on the orientation of your elements that you want to put in. So all the pages but one and the inside of front and back cover have this fold out element. All of them have that, and you can put them wherever you want. Like you could put it here, you could put it here, you could run it underneath in the horizontal. The options are endless of how you could put your booklets in. And I will show you the ones that have something different, like page 3 has something different. Definitely page 4, because that's where we have a pocket, and page 5 are definitely different. So I will be showing you those. But let me show you this one, and you do need to plan those magnets before you put any pattern paper down. So I'm going to grab a set that I have already open right here. And I am using the large basic grays from Country Craft Creations. So what I do is I look at it, and like I said, I think I'm going to put this under and then put a magnet on top. Now, if you don't want to use magnets, you could plan to use ribbons to tie. This is a very versatile album design, and you can do what you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this pattern paper down that I cut for this section. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. I'm not putting a magnet underneath it. Just trying to get my brain wrapped around that correctly. This is beautiful paper. If you haven't checked it out, I haven't looked lately to see how it's holding up on the Country Craft Creations website. Perhaps you've already ordered it because it's a beautiful spring and Easter paper collection, and it Sally showed it, and I know she got everybody excited about it, so you may have all gone and ordered it and just waiting to see what you want to make with it. Okay, so this is the bees. Line this up. carefully here so it don't go over the fold. And we're going to burnish that down. I like to burnish with my hands a little bit. Just kind of spread everything out and then go back around and get all the edges. Okay, so this one's going to close up like this. Okay, now since I am not putting any pattern paper on this back side right now, I'm going to leave that for possibly just, different photos. You don't have to put pattern paper on everything. Therefore, the magnet for this is going to have to go under this paper, and you may have to reverse your magnets. So let's assemble this first. So I am going to put my glue on the inside of my 1/2 inch here. I did not trim down my mat any. I'm going to lay this one edge of this one right into that. Now I can back it off just a tiny bit to give this one a little more room. A hair, like a 1/16 of an inch, and burnish that down. So this assembles this booklet piece. Okay. And it's going to fold up like that. Now I cut a mat because I cut this wrong. I cut this the wrong size, so it was smaller, so I did a mat out of the green, the 1/16 of an inch smaller in the size of my booklet. Now go ahead, whoops, and glue all this down. Okay, seeing if I got a lot of glue there where I didn't need it. Okay, so I'm going to put this down, get it lined up on the front. Okay, and burnish it. Then this one goes, and this is the one that I cut out wrong, so I made it too small, but I like it with that green. It kind of pulls out the green in that pattern down there. Okay, so let's put the glue. Oh, I got to do the magnet. Hang on, let's get this magnet going. Oh, see, I tell you, I forget these magnets all the time. But it's okay. We're going to double mat, so it's just as well. I'm going to put it right here. Cover it with some Scotch tape. Put this, add a little more glue to my pattern paper because it might have started drying just a tad. Still a little wet because I tried to hurry. And then look at my direction. And now I fit this over it. Okay. And burnish around the magnet. So we've got this decorated like this. And that's going to go into the book. Now, you can position it wherever you want to leave some room up here for pictures. I think I'm going to put mine about 1/4 inch from the bottom of this, where this flap goes. So this side here, if you want to make it into a pocket, you can. Let's do that. Let's just put glue on the 2 short ends and then across the bottom here where the hinge is. And then we're going to lay that in our book about right there. So we have room for decorating up here or for a photo, some small photos. So I'm going to open this up and burnish it on those sides, but we do have a pocket option. These are not going to have any pattern paper on them. This, and this. Those are just going to be left for photo mats. So now we're going to fold this up and see where that magnet, let it drop down, and then I'm going to pull the backing off of this one because then the pattern paper, and I'm going to use the yellow, it's going to go right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue around my magnet. I could put tape on it, but I want it to stick to this paper here, so I did not. So we get our glue on. So this is what I'm saying. You have to plan your magnets as you're adding your patterned paper. It's really, really, really important. So I'm going to go ahead and line these up. See how I cut it. Get it as straight as I can. And burnish it down. Now, of course, I'm not going to do it here on camera, but you will be adding all sorts of elements and decorating, like, you know, you can cut out Easter egg hunt, just different cards, and decorate that flap there. So that opens up like that, held by magnets, places for photos, or some of your journaling cards, and then these fold out for photos. It's just that simple. That's all the patterning on that one. Okay. So let's see. I think I'm going to go to the back cover, see what I decided on that one. And I'm going to need to open up some more magnets. So I'm going to pause for a minute and get those ready. Okay, I have a set of magnets for this back cover. Now you will notice that this one's a little different than the front. I used some of the same patterns, but I ran out of the yellow, so I pulled in the green check, which, you know, is okay. Whatever you have, that works. So this one's also cut to be a horizontal. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this again by putting my photo mat into the 1/2 inch of the fold out. I'm going to back it off just a tiny bit so I don't have to trim anything. So I'm not putting it right into that fold. I'm giving it about a 16th of an inch or 1/32 of an inch. Just a hairline. Okay. Burnish that down. Got that on the back side where it's going to glue. And of course I've got it a little crooked, so let me straighten that out. Okay, right there. There we go. Glue does let you arrange things for a bit. Now I'm thinking, how do we want to fold this out? Did I burnish that good up there? So if we put it on this flap on the front, go like that, and reverse it probably. I kind of like it reversed, so it's like this. So this is going to be different for our magnets. We're going to have to pay attention to that. We have the flap here. We have the main page here. I'm planning on putting it this time, whereas this one's under, I'm planning on putting it this time on top of the flap, which means the magnet needs to go all the way through. So it needs to hold all of this down. So that means the magnet needs to go here and then under here so that it's holding the flaps, even though this is going to be glued down. So I'm going to put a magnet on this one. And this is going to be in reverse once you put it all together. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay. And this is going to glue onto this. So you want to get your alignment ready. Let's see how this magnet's going to fit. See how that's backwards? But it has to attach to this or to the patterned paper. Lay it here. The flap, it's already attached down. I'm going to lay my patterned paper down. See if I can get it to pull itself where it belongs. It's pretty close, maybe. Like that. So this one, pull this backing off. I'm going to have it attached to the patterned paper. could attach the other way. So nope. I'm going to lay it here. I'm going to put tape on it to protect it like that. And then lift it up. This requires a lot of thinking. So the tape goes up against the sticky side. Then I lay that there, so I have sticky tape there. And now I can position this where I want it. And try to get the tape to stick down. There we go. Now that's where the magnet is. This paper can go over that. Okay. Love those carrots too, but I do use it in the album. Don't despair, because we do have the carrots as one of the pages. I love this green check too. It's all such cute paper. Really, really cute. Okay. I'll bring this in so I can see it a little better. Line this one up, the flap. Looks good. Okay, let's see how this attaches. Right there like that. Then we're going to glue this one over the magnet. You know, we can put tape on there, but that's okay. I already forgot. Don't you just love when you have an album that you have to think about where all the magnets go and making sure that everything is where it belongs? Make sure your paper is going the right direction so your patterns look right. Because see, there's light wording in there, and you've got to make sure, you know, most people, except those who are creating it, won't notice it if it's upside down. But anyway, so now this attaches there. And you certainly could add pattern paper to finish this off and leave that as a magnet just like that. Then this flips open. But I'm going to go ahead and glue mine down. And again, we can make it a pocket. So I'm going to glue on the two short ends. Even if I don't use it as a pocket, I've got that option, right? So glue on the bottom. And then I'm going to drop it down so the magnet grabs it. And then I'll kind of straighten it up and burnish it. So this is going to unfold. And we burnish it here and here and here. So we have the pocket right there. And that folds up like that. So there's our photo fold out. And now we put this paper on. So this flaps down. This is going to be plain. And we put this one on. The fun thing about this, the components and the design of this album is you can change up where you put your photo mats and flaps and make it the way you want to. And like I said, you know, maybe all your photos are horizontal, so you don't want any portrait. Or maybe all your pictures are portrait, and so you don't want any of the horizontal. And so that's the neat thing about it, is you can switch it up to what you want. There we go. Now then, this flap doesn't have a magnet on it, but at the weight of this one, I think everything will be fine like that. Okay, so now we're going to do, flip back over to probably page 1 and see what we're going to do with that. For page 1, I had initially planned to make it a horizontal, and so that's why this paper is cut this away. I could recut it, but I am okay with the lettering going this way on this particular pattern paper. So I'm going to assemble again. I'm going to make it fold out. I'm trying to decide here. Fold it out this way like this. Okay, so this is going to go on this side right here. Open this up. I'm going to put my glue right here in that half-inch fold, half-inch space, not on the fold, of course. Take my photo mat, place it in, back it off just a tiny bit, but make sure it stays straight. Okay. Push it in. Finish that down. Make sure it all lays flat. Okay, so there's that. Now then, this is going to go on the flap like this. And like I said, if you wanted to use a ribbon closure, you certainly could. I am going to be using the magnets. And when I back this one off, I kind of had a little edge showing. I'm going to trim just a tiny bit off. Just the teeniest bit. I'll show you just a tiny bit. Just a sliver right there. I kind of got it off just a little bit here with my trimmer. Straight with my scissors. Okay, so just a tiny bit. Yeah, and I like that better. Okay, so my magnet is going to go how did I do this one? And it's on the front. I'm thinking because of the thickness, I want to make sure that the magnets don't lose any of their, because they have to go through too much thickness. We want to make sure. So I'm thinking if I put it here on this inside one. No, I can't do that. That's why, because I'm going to pattern this one. This is the one it goes on. Never mind. Never mind. We want it under our pattern paper. Put it right there. And I'm going to add my Easter eggs. Add the pattern paper right over that. Finish that down. I love this Easter egg paper. So cute. Okay, so there's the magnet. It's going to attach to this. So remember the last time we pulled the backing off. Put some tape right over the sticky part. Let that grab that magnet. So now we have the sticky tape. And, you know, you can put it wherever you want. You can off-center it. You can center it. I'm going to try to put it in the center. There's my magnet. Get that tape to stick down. Okay, holds the magnet down. Now the pattern paper can go over that, and I'm using the stripe up and down, and I'm looking at the writing to make sure I've got it going the right direction, not upside down. So I'm going to cover this with glue. So you see how simple it is to add the pattern paper to your and magnets to your flaps and your fold out. Burnish that down. This is going to go here. It's going to fold out this way. So this one I am not going to make it a pocket because there's not a lot of room. So I'm just going to glue the whole thing down. So if you don't want a pocket, that's what you would do on any of these that you don't want them to be pockets. You would just put the glue down and make sure my opening is this way. And let it grab. Kind of straighten it up a little bit if I need to. Open this up and I burnish the photo mat. Okay, and that folds in and it holds it closed. And we open our flap up. Again, this side's plain, unless you have enough pattern paper and you want to do that, or my colors. I haven't gone through mine just in my stash to see what I have. Now, on this particular one, I cut this one too small, the width too small. So I made a patch up, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do eggs on the edge and then this overlapping, so that when this closes up, I have eggs and stripes like that. I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to put this one on first. So I cut this the height, that's 1/8 of an inch, and then I just cut this like 1 1/2 to, and I'm not blocking it. I'm not going to put, you know, a space. I'm going to overlap like this. So just wanted a little bit of the eggs peeking out. So I'm going to put this on. Then I'm going to go ahead and on all the pages that have just the fold out photo mat, I'm going to do all those off camera because I've showed you how to do it here. It's the same as front and back cover in this one page. You would just decide on your orientation of the your horizontal or vertical that you want for your photo book. Okay, so that's how I fixed that boo-boo. You could fix it however you want to, but that's the way I did it, and then it just kind of looks like that, and there's a flap there. So that is page 1, and I'm going to go ahead, and like I said, I will do all of the ones that have the same, just the single flap. I will come back and do page 3 with you. I will do page 4 and do page 5. So actually, I'm only going to be doing 2 off camera. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I've assembled my photo mats and patterns for pages 1, 2, and 6, and of course the inside, front, and back covers. So I'm going to show you page set 3, 4, and 5 because they are a little bit different than the others. Okay, so this one is not that much. It's just the size of the mat here. So here on the inside, it's going to be the same. And this one, I did not do this one by accident. This one I did on purpose because I did it on the other one because I was running out of paper. So what I want to do is put this down and then this one over it. So we have the carrots. So this piece here, if you have enough paper to do it, the solid piece, that's fine. This is 6 1/8 by the 7 3/8. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it down with the check side up. So this is the section underneath the main flap. And I'm going to put it over that 1/2 inch section there and line it up. top and bottom here and get a good burnish. And again, I'm leaving the back side of my flap plain. And then this little carrot one, this one is 2 inches by the 7 3/8. So put the glue on the back side here. I want the carrots to show. So that when the book is closed, or the flap is closed, I mean, you can see that little bit of carrots there, like that. And then this is going to go here, but we need to plan our magnets. Now the reason this one is different, I was calling it an extra photo mat fold out. This is a piece that was 8.5 by 6 1/4, and it is scored on the 8.5 at 4 1/4 when you fold it in half. So you just have a booklet here, like this, that's going to glue onto the top, so it doesn't fold out. This is just to show you a different option. If you don't have as many photos and you want to do more of them this way, you would just glue this on, and then you would just open it up. Now you can have a ribbon closure or a magnet. Now I am going to use the magnet. So once again, I'm going to put it here on the front because, let's see here. Well, actually on this one, we can put it on the back because this is going to be glued flat down. No, it's got to be on the front because we want it to hold the flap closed. So we have the magnet set. We're going to take the backing off of one. I'm going to go ahead and put it down right here, kind of in the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead, and you can tape. I have been taping on some I have not. I go ahead and put my pattern paper over this, which I want the carrots, almost goofed up. I want the carrots showing on this top one because it matches that little border there that I added on underneath the flap. Screen here. So we get this on the carrot, and then I noticed that my carrot paper, yeah, it's got to go this way. So this is going to be a horizontal as well. It can be vertical. You know, I'm going to do the vertical because I wanted it vertical. I don't care about the writing. It's all right with me like that. Okay, so now I'm going to peel the backing off of this magnet. So we've got the sticky there. Take your piece of tape, apply it over the sticky part of the magnet, right? Attach this to the back like that, so the tape is in between it, to this. And then line this up where you want it on your book, on your flap. Press it down good so you're getting the tape off. Lift up. Not yet. Straighten it out. Okay. Make sure that tape is sticking down if you can. There we go. So now the magnet's on there, and then I can put the paper down. Okay, so this is going to be the check on this side. Okay. Put your pattern paper down. And this is the page with just the double photo mat, not a fold out. So now then, this will attach here, and I'm going to glue it down so that it just flips like this. Now, if you want to leave it like this, where you can pick up the whole thing, you could do that. But for mine, I'm just going to glue mine down. So if it glue on the back of the photo booklet. Then I'm going to take it and let the magnet grab, and then make sure everything's straight. Open it up, and we burnish this section down. You could have made it a pocket if you wanted to, but I just wanted it flat down. So that holds that down, and then the magnets, this big flap will stay. So there's that one, ready for decorating. So now we'll flip over. I have this extra piece of paper. Oh, I know, I was going to do that, but you know what? I don't think I want all my carrots covered up. I really like those carrots. So, yeah, I have carrots over here. So you could do that if you wanted to do a double matting, which is what I was going to do. Let me think. It's kind of a neat, like a photo mat there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put that on there since I have it cut. And this one is cut, the pattern paper is 3.5 by 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. And that covers up some of that sideways lettering there, but that's okay. Here we go. So now we have that photo mat there. Now we'll flip over to page 4. Now this one is different because it has a booklet that inserts, and it has a pocket right here. Now then, before we do that, we're going to work on the magnet also. But here at the top of the pocket, we've attached the pocket. Hopefully we did that earlier on the video. I think we did. So this pattern piece of paper doesn't have to go all the way down. So it's only about 3.5. So I'm going to put my glue on the back and go ahead and glue that down on the inside upper part of this pocket to finish that off. So especially when you don't have a lot of pattern paper left, you want to be conservative with it. So you don't want to pattern the whole page. You just pattern what's going to be shown above the pocket. Get it on as straight as we can here. Okay, burnish that down. Okay, so now let's make this. This is going to be made just like the others, where we fold it out. We're going to attach this in the 1/2 inch. So we make the booklet the triple fold out. Putting the glue on our 1/2 inch, just like we did the others. Oops. Glue this one down. And this one I have just a little bit overextending that I want to trim off. It's probably my original cutting. Okay, so that folds in. If this is too wide, I'm going to trim off just a little bit on my trimmer to give it a little clearance for this one. I don't have enough glue on here to burnish that down. Maybe I just didn't have it burnished good. Okay, so there's that folding in. Oh, I have it crooked. Goodness gracious. Okay, more glue. I think it slipped on me. Glue. And now we'll glue it back down. Make sure it stays where it's supposed to. Okay, now I will burnish that. Okay, now it folds down into it. So for this one, it's going to fold up like that, up. So I'm going to put my eggs like that. Now, the magnet. Let's grab our magnet. I need another set. Put them together like this. Pull the backing off of one. And I'm going to put that, center it about right here. Take the magnet off. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue my Easter eggs on. Right over the top. I think at one point I had a paper clip that I was going to use the stripes, but I really like the Easter eggs, so do that. So again, on this one, we pull the paper backing off. Where it's sticky, we put our tape onto the sticky part, flip this over, let the side without the sticky, the tape stickies facing up. Then we're going to lay this. See, where's it open up here? Oops. Don't stick on me. I'm not ready for that yet. I'm looking at my opening. Okay, this way. Okay, line this up. Rub it so that the Scotch tape grabs the gift wrap tape. Now then we can add this pattern paper, which I'm using the Bunnies. I had 3 sheets of this with the tags, the cut aparts. So I'm using the side with the blue with the bunny rabbits on it. It's really cute paper too. So line this up. Burnish that down. And then this fits right over that. So that's where I'm going to glue that one. And I'm not making a pocket out of this one. Okay. And again, let the magnet kind of grab down. Make sure it's straight. Oops. Okay. Okay, open it up and burnish inside there. Okay, so there's that photo mat. And then in the pocket, we're going to put this booklet that we made. So this was a piece that was put together. I think we did it on camera. This piece here was your 9" by 6 1/8, and then we scored a 9" side at 1/2 and at 4 3/4, so that folds up. Attach this matte one, which was 6. Let's see, what did it say? 6 1/4. Yeah, 6 1/4. So I had this height wrong. This was 6 1/4 too. By 4 1/4. So it's just like the booklet ones. And it folds over like that. So we do have this seam on the inside here. If you want to cover that with something, you can. I'm going to leave it plain right now. And I used a scrap. So this is smaller here. So this piece is 3 5/8 by 5 7/8, and I'm just going to offset it, so it's going to have more of a margin there. If you have some of the green left that you want to mat with, well, I can do that. So I'm going to cut this down to 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. So hang on real quick. So that gives us that green mat right there on our booklet. Put this down. Of course, I will come back and probably add one of the cutter parts to it off camera. So this goes right here. And then this pattern will go down on top of it. And I'm using the plaid. Okay, so there's a booklet. And you can add photos into that. And that fits down into the pocket like that. Okay, so now we're ready for the last page to show you, because I've already done 6 back here. So this is number 5. Of course, you can put them in any order you want. It does not matter. It's your book. You do what you want. So this one, let's see if I can figure myself out what we've got going here. So this is a pocket. Now we do just go ahead. Let's do the inside here first. We mat this green one in. So let's cut to fit there. Because we've got the carrots too. I'm going to use the green because that's what I was planning. The green check. Okay, so there we have that. So this one's going to go here. And this is a booklet. Good. This is a booklet here. So this is the pocket that we made, and it was the 4 3/4 by 7 1/4. We scored the 7 1/4 at a 1/2 inch on each end and on one end. So this made a pocket like this, okay? And then we have a photo mat that goes inside of it. So the photo mat is loose and plain, 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And this pattern paper should go right there, the bees. And then we have a booklet, just like the others, that's going to attach down. Ooh. What was I planning on that? That goes inside as well. That's just a booklet that's going to go inside. Okay, so this one is made just like the others. This one was, to get my brain going here, your 9 inch by 5 3/4. So it was a little different size. I think I made it out of scraps. And then you score your 9 inch at a 1/2 inch again, and at 4 3/4, so that you can fold it up. And then this goes right on top. So that makes a fold-out booklet like we did over here. So you can put it, let's see, if we put it on the front, then the pattern paper should cover it. Okay, so I'm going to put my glue here on this 1/2 inch on the inside of it. Take this piece that is 4 1/4 by 5 3/4, and we're going to fit that in right there. And that fold. Make sure we've got it straight. Okay, and then this one folds like that. And this pattern paper goes right over that fold, so we don't have a fold on the inside. So I'm using the back side of the bees. Burnish that down. Okay, so there is a fold-out booklet that goes in the pocket like that. Okay, so this will not need a magnet because it's just a pocket. It does not have a fold-out. So let's go ahead and put this pattern paper down onto the top of the flap. Plaid side, there we go. These bigger pieces. Need to do a little better job at lining them up right. There we go. I have a little bit of a margin. Okay, that's better. Now then the pocket goes opening to the left. We'll put the glue on the pocket flaps. Place them where you want them. Bring it down a little bit. There we go. Burnish that. Seal up those ends. So this is a thicker pocket. You know, it will hold more in that. I'm going to put the bees, I think that's what my plan was, right there. Burnish that one down. There's that pocket. So this is just a plain photo mat. And it goes in sideways. You can trim it down if you wanted to. Actually, it's going to have to be trimmed down because it's too big sticking over. Let's see. I hope this one's not. I think that's why this one's shorter. Yeah, see, you want to make sure it's clearance. So this one I'm going to trim down from 6 1/4. I'm going to make it about 5 3/4 as well. And that's the reason that was shorter, so that it doesn't stick out beyond this. So that's just an extra photo mat for you. And that is all of our pages inside the book. Now the last thing I want to show you in the tutorial is your ribbon closure, how you might want to do that. If you don't want to tie closure, you don't have to, but as you add photos, it's probably going to get a little thicker in here, and I may be using flowers for embellishments inside. So let's grab our ribbon and we'll do that. And then all the decorating I'm going to be doing off camera. I am not going to be doing it in the tutorial. Once we get the tie closure on, that's the end of the tutorial. You'll be able to add your stickers, your cut aparts, decorating as you like. Decorate the cover. I will have a walkthrough showcase so that you can see what I did in case you want to get some ideas or do the same thing. Well, that's perfectly fine. That will be in the separate video, the walkthrough. So we're almost done with this Easter album tutorial. So maybe I can get it uploaded. So I'm just bringing this around. I want this to go all the way around. And I want to make sure I have enough to tie. So I did order plenty of this ribbon. So I'm going to look at it like that, and I'm going to cut it for right now and tell you about how much I cut off. There's a yard, 12, about a yard and a half, okay? Now that I'm not attaching it down with any kind of tape, I'm just going to tie it around, and then I will use cut-aparts or patterned paper to secure it on the front and the back. So I'm just going to kind of even it out here, and then I'm going to put it kind of in the center, about where I want it. You can adjust it before we glue stuff down. And I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow right here. See, I made sure I had plenty of tail because I don't like a wimpy bow. I want my bow to be a good one, good size here, like that. Yep. And then I can trim my tails down. And of course, remember, you can make tags for the few pockets that we do have in the book. And I'm going to fold this and do a dove cut like that. Oh, I did that one the wrong way. Oh no. Should have reversed it. Go towards this like that. There we go. Okay. I had plenty. Okay, I could have adjusted it if I needed to. So now we have that on there. And then this is where I will move it around. And then right here, whatever I build up on it will hold that down. And then also on the back, you want to put something to hold it down. So we kind of even it up, get it nice and straight. So this is the back side. I'm going to take a look and see what I want to put on it, and then I'll show you putting it on there. Okay, so here for the back, I chose this cut apart. I matted it to some of the ivory cardstock, and I'm just going to glue that. I put plenty of glue on there right over the ribbon here on the back. Just kind of center it and press it down. Make sure it's attaching down all the way around and on top of that ribbon. Now that's going to keep that ribbon in place really well on the back. Okay. Now then, anything that I decide to put on the front is going to work. You know, you can use any of your cut aparts that you might want to use to decorate on your cover. And of course, like I said, I will show you that in the walkthrough video. So this is the conclusion of the tutorial for this Bunnies and Blooms Photoplay Easter album that I designed for Country Craft Creations. And thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like my videos, and make sure you click on the bell if this is your first time visiting my channel when you subscribe, so that you'll get notifications of all my tutorials later on. And as always, check out countrycraftcreations.com for your scrapbooking supplies, your paper crafts, and your ribbons, and your artisan cardstock, and all the pretty patterned papers. And she has a lot of exclusive papers that you can only find at Country Craft Creations. And again, this was Photoplay's Bunnies and Blooms. May not be in stock for very long because it's a seasonal and they don't reprint those. But anyway, thanks so much, guys. I'll see you later. Check out the walkthrough. Bye-bye.